Peace, y'all. This is G1.
This is Rodstarz.
Together, we Rebel Diaz.
We coming at you live with another episode of And You Don't Stop from Chicago.
This week, Claudia continues the conversation about Puerto Rican political prisoner Jose Lopez. Rodstarz has more word on the street about the hashtag Free Jose Lopez. And we have more music and conversation with Reyes Poetry on Rooftop Live.
Jose Lopez has been a political prisoner for the last 33 years. Claudia continues the conversation with his brother, Jose Lopez, straight from Humboldt Park.
We hope to continue to ask for people to ask the question, who is Jose Lopez Rivera? We hope to be able to raise the level of consciousness. And we're asking all our friends in the progressive movement, all of our friends who believe in justice, who are opposed to the kinds of almost torture that Oscar has been exposed to, who believe that that Oscar has been in prison long enough for those voices to continue to be raised, to be articulated.
What does decency do in the face of insult? It's insulting to have our dear brother in prison for 32 years simply standing up for justice. Simply standing up for justice.
We hope to be able to have as many people using their social media as Calle 13 has done in a lot of his concerts throughout the world. Everywhere he goes, he asks people to light their telephone and demand Oscar's release.
Todo el mundo sacando algo que brille los celulares para la liberación de Oscar López en Puerto Rico. Tiramos una foto y apaga las luces y todo el mundo que saque sus celulares. Y eso representa que queremos toda la libertad de alguien que no merece estar en la cárcel. Yo puertorriqueño.
Y lleva 32 años.
Lleva 32 años preso en Estados Unidos. Todo por creer en la independencia de Puerto Rico.
We hope that as many people join in this effort and that we can, with a unified voice, demand his ultimate release.
Now we know Oscar, a freedom fighter, pro-Puerto Rican independence, father, comrade,
yes.
Your brother.
Yes.
What is the one thing that you miss the most about having your brother out here?
Well, it's a very difficult question because obviously from a personal perspective, it's been very difficult. I mean, for us, my mother died from Alzheimer's. My sister had massive heart attack. I mean, my family has gone through very, very difficult moments. He's never been able to be with his granddaughter. Has spent very little time with his daughter. I mean, on a personal level, I wish he was with us. On a political level, I think that when you look at the work that has been done in Chicago for the past 45 years, when you look at the fact that we've established a school for dropouts, when we look at the fact that we have a cultural center with about 15 different programs that address a myriad of social problems, from health issues like HIV/AIDS to child care to cultural expressions. When you look at the legacy that my brother helped to build in this community, I mean, one of the things that I hope is that soon he will be able to continue to help us give new dimensions to the work which he started, a legacy which I think still is very vibrant, but obviously we miss his guidance and his wisdom.
What's up, bro? Tell me your name.
Saul Arellano.
Hey, so Saul, I was gonna ask you about the hashtag, but you already seem to have it on your shirt. So, free Jose Lopez Rivera now. Tell me why you wearing this shirt and why you think this is so important.
Well, I think Jose Lopez did a lot for el pueblo puertorriqueño, and well, he needs to be out because 30 years of being in prison is a lot. He has a life with all his family, and he deserves to live with all his family. So, let's free him.
No matter what, either side you're on, even if people say he should, he need to pay his dues, he's done it. Just get that brother out. I think we need to get him out. He had a voice, and at the bottom of it, he spoke up for people. So I'm always on the side of that. Somebody who's fighting for the rights of people, I'm 100% behind that for sure. So I'd love to see that happen.
And tell me your name.
Joshua,
How old are you, bro?
11.
All right, so just to be clear, Josh is not in jail. We just haven't figured out how to open this door. Tell me your thoughts about the idea of free Oscar Lopez.
I think it's really cool, but he's been in jail for a while. I think he should be free and live his own life.
When we talk about freeing Oscar Lopez, we're also talking about liberating ourselves, liberating a piece of ourselves that still remain on the chains, that still remain dependent on certain things that another person is either providing or not providing. So the campaign to free Oscar Lopez is a campaign to free ourselves in essence.
The right to self-determination is something that is, something that every country in the world deserves, and Puerto Rico hasn't had that chance.
As a Puerto Rican nation, they should be able to determine their own right, without any outside government intervention. So that's definitely a question that's based off of their needs specifically, and it should be up to their decision completely.
Before it was the U.S., it was Spain, right? So I think that every country, every people have to decide what they're going to do to be free. And it's different at different points in history. But absolutely, I support the right to self-determination of the Puerto Rican people. It's absolutely true that there's international law, right, that codifies their right to self-determination and independence.
The United States plan is to keep it the way it is, because statehood is not a possibility, and the Commonwealth status does not function, so the only alternative is independence for us.
Yes, y'all. G1 here with another edition of Rooftop Live. We are in Chicago again, continuing our conversation with Reyes. Tell us a little bit about how that experience has been to be able to travel and share your poetry in academic settings and with students throughout the country.
I consider myself a working artist because I make a living off of it full time. But I early on made a decision because of my work in Chicago, because of my political work that was taking place in the Puerto Rican community and the Mexican community around immigration and political prisoners. I do feel that my art is a part of my activism, but I always want to do more than just art. So being involved with kind of critical race theory, issues of social justice, and thinking about how can we use poetry and spoken word as one tool, and hip hop as one tool within a larger context of organizing. So for me, poetry is just a tool that we're able to engage young people and elders and really our population within our community. Because sometimes using spoken word, poetry, theater, and hip hop, it's a lot easier to address issues of racism, of homophobia, of sexism through a poem. Because people are just more naturally kind of attuned with our development as human beings and how we share to listen to a story.
Doña Claudia came to me in a dream, woke me to the world of the unimaginable. She whispered into my ear and told me, "Come home, Oscar, come home, bring him home, we need him home." She said to me, "Bring him home." Two children play near 115th and 3rd Avenue. From the street through an open door, they see a poster, they read it aloud, "Bring him home, we need him home." In the back room, the activist, lawyer, executive director, former political prisoner argue over semantics. Bring him home, he must come home. It doesn't matter as long as he is home. His children, grown from his own resistance, they grew in the gun smoke, streets lost, ached their bodies. They but born in his shadow, they watch to catch a glimpse of him. They drum, they sing his name, they whisper, "Bring him home." Dance, sweat, beats, rhythm, they want him home. They sing to bring him home. In a class, the teacher explains what it's like to see their family through glass, to almost touch hand in hand, but to be separated by this window that is much more than glass, to be isolated for 12 long years, to be isolated by 12 long years. The students listen. Many of them have been on the other side of that glass. Some understand the isolation and the pain. But they say he must come home, bring him home. The activists running to event after event after event, petition and clipboard in hand. So many times, so many events. She questions its value, its worth, if it's truly making a difference. All the while she wants him home. He must come home. The thirst for freedom drives his brother just a little bit stronger. His step a little faster. His hopes only heard by the closest of his friends. His glance a little stronger. His hope more open. He knows he'll be home. Bring him home. His community not so quick to believe, but slowly they start to hope. They awaken from their deep sleep, their long rest. They rise from their long rest and start to wonder, start to question. They begin to see the possibility. They start to fight to bring him home, bring him home. The young girl goes to school, told he is a terrorist, a bad man, but she knows better. She pushes forward, and anyway, no matter what the teacher says, she tries to bring him home. They meet on the floor of Congress, the same floor of Lolita's rebellion. All four agree to sign a letter to bring him home, to fight for his release. The poet writes away, imagining, creating conditions, writing the myth, all its wonderful exaggerations, writing the truth and the fiction. They all call him home. All of this, poems, nights making pasteles to raise funds, conversations, meetings, and years of toil, printed flyers, door-to-door canvassing, persuading elected officials and people in prominent positions. All of this is the hard birth of freedom. They all agree, the poet, the activist, former political prisoner, teacher, child, student, brother, preacher, politician, actor, executive director, that they need him home, that he must come home, that without him, they are incomplete. That without him, their myth is not finished. That without him, their journey is just a little slower. Their story is half told. Without him, it is as if Lolita had never knelt on Olbizo's grave and said mission complete. As if Che would have never met his destiny in Bolivia. No, they need him home. Like the myth, he who was born on Three Kings Day, a sign of his strength, he must fulfill his destiny and come home so we may embrace him, cry with him, laugh with him, smile with him. He must come home so that we too may reach our destiny. So I ask you, do all you can do to bring Oscar Lopez Rivera home so we may be complete again, so he can return to his nation that so desperately needs him. Bring him home, bring Oscar Lopez Rivera home.